Welcome to Across the Desk. I want to talk about something I feel is being shoved out of the way a little bit for other controversial topics. Not that those topics should be discussed, like House Bill 1775 that was signed into law on anti-critical race theory and diversity training, as well as running people over that are protesting laws. But something about Senator Nathan Dahm a month ago had said some really disgusting things and doubled down on it. We were told that there will be consequences, but here we are a month later and I haven't seen anything about it. This week, I want to discuss conservative values. That's what this all boils down to, because this shows you just where their values lie. Here we are, 4 weeks after the fact, 4 weeks after they say there will be consequences. And here we are, no consequences. We haven't heard a thing about it. Now, I get it. We have some things come up, other issues that kind of took the spotlight and took the oxygen away from this. And to Nathan Dahm's benefit, yeah, it kind of worked. We're not talking about it, and we kind of forgotten about it. So it's kind of what they're counting on. But I haven't forgotten, and so I've been thinking. I've been thinking a lot about this issue. Here we are. The speaker has come out saying this isn't the way we want to conduct business. It's not a unifying manner. It's not even professional. We don't want to do our decorum this way. But yet, he hasn't done anything about it. Here we are. Nathan Dahm is still on his committees. Nathan Dahm doubled down on what he said. And Nathan Dahm still hasn't seen any repercussions for anything he said. So that's where we stand with this. But my questions today aren't really directed at Nathan Dahm, because we actually do know where he's standing on this. He doubled down on it, said, hey, it's a joke. I totally think there's nothing wrong with this joke. I didn't see anything inappropriate with it, and I think you should all lighten up. Well, I think this goes to show just what conservative values are all about. That's exactly what this shows. Conservative values. Conservative values state you can tell lewd jokes about women on how they got ahead in life, and it's perfectly okay. Conservative values. Conservative values say I can talk about your mother, your daughter, your sister in ways that are lewd and inappropriate, even in professional settings. I should be allowed to do that, and you should be okay with it. These are conservative values. These are conservative values that Nathan Dahm has. And I would really like to ask, because it's not really a question to him so much as it is to his mother. Because his mom is the one who educated him. If you look at his profile, he was homeschooled. I'm pretty sure in his very strict Christian household that he was raised in, his mother was probably charged with those duties of educating him and instilling him with the values he has today. So it's really a question for her. Are you okay with the values that your son is espousing on public television, on national television? Are you okay with that? That he even doubled down on it. Are you okay with that? Are these the values you taught him when you homeschooled him? That lewd jokes about women and how they got ahead in life are perfectly fine and reasonable values to have. Is it what you did? Because honestly, I'm kind of a guy that really believes in playing by the same rules. And I had to really think about this one really hard. Because I have a mother, a daughter, and a wife. And I honestly don't want jokes said about them, or even innuendo or insinuation that they got ahead, not due to their intelligence, not due to hard work, their experience, their ability to work with others. No, it was because they were good in the bedroom. That's the values that Nathan Dahm thinks we ought to have as a nation. He thinks those are good values to have as a nation. Conservative, solid values where we degrade women through lewd jokes, and it's perfectly all right. Perfectly okay to do that. I personally find it divisive. Right along gender lines. I mean, it's so plain and generic you can see it. It's absolutely a division between gender lines. When you say that women get ahead because of the favors they do for men. It's exactly what that is. And these are values that are just fine with Nathan Dahm. So it makes me wonder, because I wanted to ask Mrs. Dahm, if these values are okay, do you think it's alright to say lewd jokes about you? Would it be appropriate in your eyes to say, well, that fancy ring you got and that car you drive was only because your husband gave it to you, and it was probably only because, you were good in the bedroom with him. So the favors you did for your husband is going to show in the size of the ring you wear, and the car and dress you wear. And are those appropriate things to say about Mrs. Dahm? I personally don't think so. I was really wanting to go there with it. I was like, yeah, let's start saying jokes about his mother. But honestly, I can't do that. Because like I said, I have a daughter and a wife and a mother, and I don't think it's appropriate to tell jokes about women and how they got ahead in life. I don't think that's proper. I don't want them doing it to my mother. I don't want them doing it to my daughter or my wife. I don't. I don't think it's proper. So even though I'm a kind of a play by the same rules guy, I couldn't go there. I couldn't go there with Mrs. Dahm, mostly out of respect for my mother, my wife, and my daughter, my aunts, my sister-in-law, and every one of them. Out of respect for them, I can't do that to Nathan Dahm's mom, though I do have some serious questions for her. Are these seriously the values you raised your son with? That these jokes were okay? Because it seems like you are. And honestly, when I was thinking about playing by the same rules, one of the things that came up was, well, she taught him this. She was his sole teacher. She was in many more ways than one. She educated him. She homeschooled him. She brought him up with the values that he has today. So in a way, I was figuring she's probably fair game. She's probably fair game for stuff like that. But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't, because of the effect that could have on the women in my life that are important to me. Because I don't want it to be okay to tell jokes about that. I don't want it to be okay for people to think that the loved ones in my life that are females got ahead not because of their own skill and level of ability, but because of what they could do to pleasure men. That's disgusting to me. It's wholly un-American, very divisive, highly unprofessional, and just goes to the level of lack of worldliness, lack of decorum and respect Nathan Dahm has for the opposite sex, including in his own party. When the women in his own party came out and said, hey, we do not agree with this, in our state, came out and said, hey, please don't. What did he do? He didn't listen to him. He doubled down. He doubled down, so you need to lighten up. Because he probably thinks, again, that's how they got ahead in life too. It's probably what he thinks. It's how he was raised. These are the values he was instilled with. The conservative values that they tout are so wonderful, that we should all espouse in our nation. The wonderful conservative values of misogyny, and how we devalue women by telling lewd jokes about how they got ahead in life. This is what Mrs. Dahm, Nathan Dahm's mother, has instilled in him. She's instilled these conservative values into her son. And I find them quite gross and barbaric, uncivilized even. And if these are the values, the conservative values that conservatives and Republicans want to instill on the American people, then I think we should expose that. I think these are values that we should we should expose it. We put the spotlight on it. These are their values. Their values of degrading people. They do it. This isn't the only time. When Hillary Clinton ran, all the t-shirts, all the disgusting displays of misogyny and hatred towards women. We seen it then, and we're seeing it now. And that's exactly what this is. When Nathan Dahm comes out and says the disgusting things he said about our vice president, and then doubles back down on them again. He's doubling down on the fact that these are his values. These are the conservative values he was raised with. The conservative values he has today, and the conservative values he thinks we should champion. These are what they are. Let's make no mistake about it. It's what it is. And it's not just him. Let's go further on, because you know what? Here we are, a month later, no consequences. The Republican Party, who's in charge over at the legislature, has done nothing. They haven't done anything. There's nothing on this. Zero, zip, nothing. They haven't as much put out a letter against it. They haven't as much had him censured or anything. I think they're just hoping that this can be swept under the rug and will go away because of all the other crazy stuff Republicans are doing. You know, like running over protesters law and not letting people or schools and institutions teach about diversity and critical race theory. Those have kind of eaten up everything, I suppose. So Republicans are hoping they can sweep this under the rug, because I'm almost positive a lot of them, like Echoes, who said, you know, hey, this isn't how we want to run this. I'm sure it's a black eye to them. And I'm sure if it just goes away quietly, then they don't have to worry about it. And they don't have to address it. Because secretly down, if they really believed that these weren't conservative values, they'd say something about it. And more than they have. They wouldn't just say something and then just let it go away. They would actually do something about it. They would do something. They would do, at least get up at the podium and do a censure, read off something saying, hey, this is horrible. They haven't even done that. And I doubt Republicans in Oklahoma, conservatives in Oklahoma, will. Because you see, the base, the conservative base, this is their values. The values of misogyny, of calling women the C word, of saying that they get ahead in life through sexual favors, is the values of core conservatives. It is. It really is. They actually eat this up. Nathan Dahm, doubling down on this, is going to get him more money and more votes. Actually, he doesn't even have to worry about the votes, because no one's ran against him. He probably won't run against him next time. And he's term limited to 2024, so he can only run one more time. So, what's he got to worry about? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'll tell you, because conservatives in this state, too scared to do anything about it. They're too scared. Because they, even though they may think this is bad, they might. They may think it's unprofessional. And they may say that it is. But they don't do anything about it because they're scared. They're scared of the radical right-wing base that they have. They're scared of them. They have whipped them to frenzy after frenzy, and they're still doing it today. They're doing it today, looking for cash. Stephanie Bice puts out very divisive ads. Jim Inhofe, last election cycle, put out some very divisive ads on saying, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, you're not an Oklahoman. Not only that, our governor is using divisive language in a ploy to get cash for his campaign. Just this week, put out a very divisive ad and very dark and draconian type scary stuff that he's saying about fellow American and Oklahoma citizens. This is what our governor's doing, being very divisive, so he can get money from these whack jobs that are okay. That are absolutely okay with jokes about women and how they got ahead in life. And that's where we're at. Conservative values. Right here on Across the Desk. Well, that's my show for this week. We got one more show in the season. Next week will be episode 20. And I'll have a special show for you next week. This is Across the Desk with Kit Fairchild.